Watch, and we do have a quorum, so we can continue. Our first item after that is to consider approval of the minutes of the meeting of May 8th. Does anybody have that? I didn't see it.
Yes, sir, they're here. I'll move approval.
Thank you. Okay, any comments on the minutes? Juan, did you move to approve? Okay. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Minutes are approved unanimously. Okay, we have two items for Antonian College Prep to consider this evening. The first is the removal of 3 oak trees, and I'll read the formal note here in a moment, but just as a, put it in context, we have considering the trees first, then we'll do the public hearing, then we'll consider the actual stairwell itself and have, again, a public hearing separately. Okay, so the first then, consider and act upon an application from Antonian College Preparatory High School located at 6425 West Avenue, legal description CB 5005A, Block 8, Lot 1, to remove 3 oak trees from a small grove of 8 oak trees located directly in front of a freestanding facility currently under renovation and repurposing for a new Center for Academic Excellence. Okay, before we do the public hearing, I would ask the folks from Antonian to, if you would, please update us on your proposal. We understand you've made some changes. Is there a presentation you all have in mind, or we would appreciate that at this time, and then we'll do the public hearing.
Okay. Okay, I just click it to go, right? Okay.
I can see it moving there. I'll go fix it.
Okay. Good evening. While we're setting up the presentation, I wanted to kind of set the stage for the 2 proposals.
Okay.
I just want to make clear that this facility is not a new facility. It is a facility that was built in the late 50s, early 60s. And at that time, those trees were just bare saplings. And so, to the best of my knowledge, those trees are probably around 60 years old. And also, this actually is phase 1 of a capital campaign. It's a 3-phase campaign. So the success of this phase is very, very important. And how we complete this renovation and how we present it to the public will set the stage, because people give to success. And they have to see that this phase 1 was a success, and it has to be a wow factor. We're not doing it because we want this grand staircase. We're doing it because we want to better the facilities for our school. Our students are amazing. They win awards out the kazoo. They go to state, they win honors, but our facilities don't mirror what our students' accomplishments are. That's all we're trying to do, is give them something to be proud of. So we'll go ahead and start the...
Very well.
So right now what we're trying to do is put a front staircase on this facility. It will require the removal of 3 trees out of a grove of 8 trees. So this is the set of trees, and I have them numbered. And from right to left, you can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is actually 3 trees that share the same trunk, so it's basically 1 tree. 6 is a standalone tree, and then 7 and 8 share a trunk as well. The 3 trees we'd like to take out are tree number 1, 2, and tree number 6. This right here is tree number 6, and I've outlined it for you so that you can get a better visual on that. You can see that it's growing towards the building. It actually, I have another photo later on that you can see that it's actually extending over the landing of the current stairwell. 1, 2, and 6. Do you need a few minutes to look at that, or are you okay? Okay. Okay, the next slide that actually is tree number 2, and that 2 is growing straight into the building, and if you can look at that, that is the end of that tree, if you can call it a tree. It actually is more of just a branch that's growing up. And so there, I want you to focus on that. That is the end of that tree, that branch. It's like a spike. There's not any branches coming off of that. There's no canopy, and there will never be a canopy on that tree. Okay. This is tree number 1. That tree is relatively healthy, but the way that it's growing, because it doesn't have any light, it's growing straight to the side, and it will continue to grow that way. So it could be a potential hazard down the line. And that's tree number, I believe it's tree number 6, and that's the landing of the stairwell. So you can see how it is growing too, and it will continue to grow that way as well. I'd like to end my presentation with a letter from a certified arborist who came and visited the campus and met with me. I showed him our plans. I took him on a tour of the campus and showed him the trees that are in question. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read his report.
Okay.
He is from the San Antonio Tree Surgeons. His name is Brian Dunleavy, and he begins by saying, myself and Kathy Walker examined a construction project occurring at a building south of the main entrance. We looked at the drawings for a new sidewalk to be installed at the building entrance. I have a strong background in construction. Looking at the drawings, I see what Kathy is requesting. I 100% agree with Kathy. I have some strong opinions to support what Kathy is asking for, and here is why. Kathy is asking to remove 3 trees from the group that are in question. I will use her photos with the trees numbered to identify and give a common sense approach with experience to justify removing these trees. Okay, so that's the photo he's referring to. I will work from left to right using the supplied photo. Tree number 6, which is the one that's just to the left. Tree number 6, it is the closest to the building. The branches and foliage are growing very close to the building. It also has been hit multiple times by equipment at the base of the tree. A large gash exists where the bark and cambium are exposed. This is a serious wound and should be considered. I therefore strongly suggest that somebody install TPCs, tree protection zones, something that is wrapped around the tree base to prevent further damage from equipment. This is a must if you care about these trees. The tree overall is growing, in my opinion, too close to the building, and the foliage can get burned from sun refraction due to the glass and sunlight reflection. Tree number 2 is very easy to ask for a removal. It has a large cavity in its main trunk that, although has healed nicely, it is deep, it is in a bad spot on the trunk, and will most likely cause tree failure and the cause for the oak to snap at the wound. With foot traffic, this is a liability. Tree number 1 is, although a healthy tree, is another tree I can support a case for removal. It is growing directly onto the building. The limbs are scarce. The only branch structure is growing directly into the building, literally inches from touching the structure. If a hard trimming occurred, I think most of the tree's integrity and overall structure would harm the tree, to the real possibility of failure. Sun refraction from the glass due to the proximity should also be considered. Lastly, I understand the need to preserve trees. I also looked at the campus. They have some areas, especially along the street, with some really special live oaks that are being maintained very well. They practically have a forest of heritage live oaks in exceptional condition, unspoiled, and completely preserved. Trees that are crowded will be stressed due to competition for moisture and nutrients. Trees that are too close together may develop leaning or lopsided growth and be weak and unattractive. This is the case with the grove of eight oaks in question. In the big picture, removing the 3 smaller oaks that will be problematic, in my professional opinion, is a small price. The remaining trees will have a better chance to develop a lovely form and will be easier to maintain. I truly believe, looking at the drawings, that the school is trying to preserve and save the other oaks that are better species and will have a better chance to adapt to the new building. Sincerely, Brian C. Dunleavy. And that completes my presentation.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you.
And I think it would make sense, so we have the whole picture, that Mark make his presentation about the stair as well now. So everybody understands the whole thing and how the trees relate to the stair.
Sure. Can you? My name is Mark Markovsky. I'm the project architect for Antonian. I personally have a long history with Antonian, believe this or not, but my father was the project architect in 1963 for that building. My brother was the first in the first graduating class of Antonian. I was graduating class of Antonian in 1975, and both my sons attended Antonian High School, so I do have a long and strong connection to the high school itself. When she gets the presentation up, we'll begin. Where's the clicker? Here? Here? Whoops, sorry. Yeah. Again, this is the site plan that we presented before at the previous meeting. The building in orange is the Center for Academic Excellence, and the dotted red line represents the grove of trees that are in the front of the building where the stair is proposed to be extended, the stairway. This is a partial site plan of that new design stairway. The original one we brought to you last time was in 2 components. It was a series of steps, an intermediate landing, and a series of steps again. And what that, although that allowed a place, I guess, to stop and kind of rest, that also expanded the length of those stairways to get back down to grade, which threatened the cluster of the 3 trees there on the left of the sidewalk. So in this new design, and I may bump this up one more. In this new design, we've now on both sides, if this will work, whoops, is there a pointer? This sidewalk here and this sidewalk here that comes to the entryway, we've elevated that sidewalk for several reasons. The faster we can get up, the fewer risers we need. The fewer risers we need, the less encroachment we have onto that cluster of trees. We're not only trying to honor the trees that will remain, we're also here to protect the trees that remain, so during the construction of the stair and sidewalk, no damage is done to that root system. So in lieu of excavation, which is kind of a typical when you pour sidewalk construction, we're actually going to elevate above that root zone and not have any excavation whatsoever. So that's kind of what this is showing you, is the 2 sidewalks coming up to a point, kind of turning in towards the stairway itself. We've added 2 risers right here, and then the rest of these happen after that in terms of getting us back to that existing, sorry, this is really sensitive, existing point. We are tying into the existing stair landing that is on the building. That obviously can't be changed. So we're having to work with this elevation and obviously the elevation at the existing elevation at the asphalt driveway. And this kind of illustrates a couple of, and I'm not sure this is in your packet because we kind of brought it this evening to kind of verify what I'm saying in terms of a design that's more protective of the existing trees. This section right here will be a concrete a section of concrete that'll be bridged. So this will be above, again, elevated to this point, and a section of this will actually be a concrete bridge that allows two things to happen. One allows additional moisture to come to the existing root system of this cluster right here. It obviously will not have any impact on the root zone of those trees since it's an elevated component and not excavated. And by raising this up here, we've also created kind of a tree well along here because we also don't want to cover any of that oak tree trunk because, as we know, that'll subject that tree to damage. We don't stack the dirt above the root zone.
So if I can stop you right there, just one question. So when we look at the color coded with the numbers, then to your left is tree number 8? Is that what you're telling us in tree, yeah, right?
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking correctly, right? It's 8, 7,
7 and 8 would be.
and 7 and 8 are the ones to the left. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then 2 is on the other side, and 4 and 5 are in the middle.
4 and 5.
No.
right?
No,
2 would be removed.
oh yeah, okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
1, 2, and 6 would be removed.
2 is kind of here, 1 and 2 are kind of here, 6 is,
4 and 5 are the ones that I was thinking about.
right, that's
Okay.
those three
That's-
components in there.
So you were able to do, okay, that's fine, that's good work.
And it's 3, 4, and 5 that remain, right?
Yes, there's
Yeah.
3, 4, and 5 are right here.
That's right there, 3, 4, and 5.
So one of them that Kathy pointed out that has no top to it is the one that's kind of bending this way. The other one is the larger tree that kind of bends this way, and the other one is the one in the back that's kind of coming into, she showed you the picture of the one coming above the stairway landing. That's this tree here in the back. It's, again, just pretty much just a branch. And again, by raising all of this elevation and not doing any excavation whatsoever of the root zone, we're going to maximize our ability to protect that root zone from those existing trees to keep them healthy. So this is the new design of the stairway, taking the components that y'all mentioned last time and some of the concerns into account. Again, this is something y'all saw for the most part last time. Just, again, a shortened section of the stairway because we are elevating the sidewalk. So it is metal framing, concrete treads, handrails, those types of things that was submitted last time, and just a shorter version of that since we shortened the rise of the stair. So that's my portion of it. And again, these two do tie together in terms of one connected to the other.
Thank you. Okay, then. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing. It is 7:24, and I might remind you all that we're in two pieces, as I mentioned earlier. The first piece is the trees. That's what you have the opportunity to comment on now. The second piece later will be on the stair itself that Mr. Markowski just presented. So, we have, let's see, probably 10 or so folks signed up to speak. First is Miss Sally Hurst. And if I may, please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Yes, I will, thank you. My name is Sally Hurst. I live at 231 Foxhall Lane, and I must say that I'm a fan of the Antonian and that I love the children that go to school there, the students that go to school there, and I applaud the architect on his the original plans that he developed before we came to all these art committee meetings for any changes. Because if the original rendition took into account the existing stairwell, I think they were just going to fix it up. But we didn't have to get into any discussion of the trees. And it looked very, if you go to the Antonian and you look at the rendering, it's very nicely done, and it looks beautiful. And I'm not a donor. We don't have children. They don't go to school there. I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of I didn't really see anything wrong with the original plan, and so I just kind of question why this, going through all of these, all of a sudden these trees are diseased and have to come down. That wasn't really an issue with the original plan. And if you do indeed grant this, I would like to ask that you follow the vegetation policy that is in the standards and for the city of Castle Hills to ensure that what is taken is replaced with appropriate trees. So that's all I have, and thank you.
Thank you. Jackie Ackley?
Good evening, board
Hi.
members, all. I'm Jackie Ackley from 118 West Castle Lane, and I'm so pleased at the work and creativity that's been done to preserve a few more of the trees than we were talking about the last time we met here about this subject. And I really commend that architectural design that will not hurt the roots and actually bring them more water. I think that's ingenious. So thank you for all your reconsideration and help and the advice we got from the arborists. I mean, that's just strong work. And my other comment would just be in general for all of us. You know, we know trees are so important. They take the carbon dioxide out of the air and give us back our oxygen, and they cool our environment. They shade us and cool us that way as well. Trees have natural life cycles. Even a tree that's just left alone in the forest is eventually going to pass. And the only thing that allows that to be reseeded is that in the forest, we don't come along with a lawnmower and clean the little seedlings out. So to replace the natural loss of trees that can occur even in a well-forested area, we have to kind of guard the babies. And so I would sort of echo Sally's comment about maybe putting in additional trees, even if we don't have to take out any, or in this case, because we are taking out some, but in a general way, maybe celebrating Arbor Day or the feast day of the Saint of Trees and Nature by actively placing a tree in the ground periodically, because as many as you have, there's still room for more, particularly on that berm that faces Foxhall Lane, which lost some trees when the parking lot went in. So just a thought for the future. But in general, thank you for your very creative and good work.
Thank you. Gerald Flores?
Good evening, members of the committee. My name is Gerald Flores. I live at 108 Lockhaven Lane. My children attend, two of my children attend Antonian High School. One's a 9th grader, one's a 10th grader. And my daughter will be attending the following year. She's an 8th grader at St. George Episcopal. We are lifelong residents. We, of course, intend to stay here until the God takes us. But I think it's important for all of us to recognize that we are dealing with a private school. We are not a very wealthy public school. We do not receive state funds. All of the money that we receive comes from alumni, parents, some benefactors. And it's important that we have a school that is very good for our children. This new building will house the social studies department, which of course currently is in portables. And it will also have the learning center and a library. I think it's important that our children have the benefit of a wonderful school, a good school, a school that's aesthetically pleasing. We've worked with the building. We're not tearing it down. We're using the existing structure with the history in mind, the history of the architecture and the historical nature of the building. But I think it's really important that this committee also be aware that on the campus we have close to 400 other trees. We are very, very good stewards of the land. And I can tell you that because I walked every inch of that campus and I counted the trees myself. And I know that because we are a Catholic school, we believe in nature and protecting those things that God has given us. So we are good stewards of the land, and I would really appreciate your consideration in our proposal tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Judge Chuck, and forgive me if I butcher the name, but I can't read your writing too well. Montemayor. Okay, thank you.
I'm a My name is Charles Montemayor. I'm an alum of Antonian. I went there between 1980 and 84 and got my first traffic ticket in Castle Hills. They taught me a lesson, though. I don't speed in Castle Hills from that teenage lesson. But as an alum, I was kind of on the instrumental with the campaign and connecting the campaign committee with alums who were funding this building. In particular, the alum, the major benefactor whose name's going to be on that building. And it's important, I think, that this was important for the aesthetic value of the building and how it looked. And as the judge here in Bexar County who deals with abused and neglected children here, this building in particular, and as a proud alum, this building is of really special interest to me. Because as Ms. Walker noted, our students are amazing, and some of them have incredible accomplishments. But this building, with this alum's name is going to be on, and this whole factor and the importance of this building and the phases after this, is going to be catering to those children who've chosen Antonian, but who learn differently, who have special learning. And they're going to be helping them. They're going to be helping those students who aren't necessarily the high scorers in tutoring. And that's why this building is just vital. It's vital as the alumni community, and it's vital for all those that have been involved in this phase one of this campaign. So I appreciate Mr. Markovsky's accomplishments in accommodating that, but I was going to comment just on how important it is for the aesthetic value that all these things be considered, as Mr. Markovsky's done. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Trey Curry?
Trey Curry, 401 Foxhall Lane. I was going to say a lot. I don't think a lot needs to be said, but one thing that they had mentioned, Sally had mentioned about trying to use the existing stairwell. The one thing as a parent, the first thing that I noticed is if there was anything in that building that happened, fire, emergency, how are we going to get that number of kids out of that building the way it is now? There is an area in the back that they can enter and exit from, but we need 2 exit points of size, and this is where the stairwell would come in for that emergency purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Tim Peterson?
Tim Peterson, 1714 Alith Avenue, and I am the principal of Antonian College Preparatory. And I just would like, most of the things I wanted to say have already been said. To talk about the egress in the event of an emergency is very important, and that's why we went to a new design for the stairwell. But I also want to say that, you know, Antonian as a Catholic school has tried to be a good and responsible member of the Castle Hills community. And also, you know, we try to be very mindful of the environment and good stewards of our natural resources. So, you know, I come from a Jesuit background that teaches that, you know, you find God in all things, and I truly believe that. The other thing I wanted to stress is what Trey just said, was that, you know, the idea of this learning center is very important to me and very important to our community, to help students with learning differences, like dyslexia and dysgraphia and those types of things, to make sure that they get the benefits of a Catholic education and are prepared to go on to college when they graduate. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, sir. Joe Diaz?
So my name is Joe Diaz. Actually, I'm a practicing physician here in San Antonio. Grew up on Shalimar, on 119 Shalimar, when I attended Antonian, graduated in 1976. I've also graduated 5 children from Antonian. So I'm an active alumni. Obviously, I'm here and graduated 5 children. I am also chairman of the Capital Campaign, and we've been working for over 3 years now and trying to make the facilities a success. And I first want to say thank you for complimenting our changes in our plan, and I think that we're all come to an agreement, hopefully, on the changes that we've made. But you know, obviously, we have brought a lot of people here tonight representing a cross-section of Antonian, from parents, alumni, judges, attorneys, coaches, administrators, principals, and several residents. And you know, I just want to say that this is a very, very big deal and big project for us, and we didn't realize that was going to be an issue, that much of an issue, and I think that you can tell from our due diligence and our architects and that we've made significant efforts to change the plan to accommodate everybody's needs, and I think everything else has been said, so thank you.
Thank you, sir. Victor Estrada.
Hi, I'm also an Antonian graduate, graduated in 1976. I live at 110 Moss Drive and have been there for 28 years. I just wanted to mention that when I first heard that I was going to talk mainly about the trees, that they were going to knock down some trees, I was totally against it because I try to save every tree in my yard. But we had some reconstruction done at our house and had an arborist come out. And to kind of summarize, we had two clusters, and they told us they were too close together. I tried to save them all, and we ended up having about 2 or 3 from each cluster. I can't remember, maybe 5 or 6 total that died because they said they were just all too close together. And then when I started seeing which way the trees were growing, I changed my mind, and I just thought I'd come support the current recommendation of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that's all the names on the list. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this issue? Okay, thank you all. So it is 7:37. Let's close the public hearing. And with that, members, it's our turn. Are there any comments or questions for the group?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank all of you for being here, both on our members of our community, and when you really realize it, we're all of the same community. When you look at Antonian will always be a shining star in the city of Castle Hills. As a person who has a graduate from Antonian just last year and been part of the capital campaign that helped raise the money for the academic center, I fully understand. Although I am a Central grad, so that does make some things a little difficult. But I will tell you that the evolution of what the plan has come is exactly what we hoped for. I congratulate you on it also because it does meet what we've been looking for, and that is a combination of preservation, but also evolution, which is what is happening. And as we learned tonight, this is just phase 1. So we have 2 more phases yet to go. And I'm sure you'll be back knocking on our door again soon enough. And as we go through that process, I think you can find us to be accommodating and willing to work with you in all phases. So, Mr. Chairman, I move approval of this motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion approves unanimously. Thank you all.
There's 2 of them, right?
Yes, there are 2, Juan. So let's get on to the second one then. Consider and act upon an application from Antonian College Preparatory High School located at 6425 West Avenue. Legal description CB 5005A, Block 8, Lot 1, for the proposed front entrance stair to the Antonian College Preparatory Center for Academic Excellence. And Mr. Murkowski has already presented the entrance and stair. And so at this point, it's 7:40, let's open the public hearing. We did have one individual who signed up to comment on this item. This is Judge Montemayor. Are you finished? All right, sir. Does anyone else have any comments, further comments? Okay, at this point, let's close the public hearing. It's 7:41. And so it's our turn, members. Questions, motions?
I'd like to move that we approve the stair as designed. I believe they've really gone to great effort to satisfy their condition as well as the preservation of the trees, and I commend them, and I move that we approve the stair as designed.
All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you all so much. The only thing left now is a motion for adjournment. Second. In favor? We're done. Thank you all so much, and thank you for your great work. We appreciate the improvements you all made.
good neighbor, and obviously we've been a good neighbor, they've been a good neighbor.
Oh, I came to see, I was gonna try to make him.
Side of this house.
No.
So that's a nice neighborhood.
Sold out. The boys only lost by 20.
First time I did it was a minute.
Sometimes that's good or bad. They know you're right down the street, and something happens, and you get there on 80.
No, it was more than that. It was much more than that.
Good.
Oh, yeah, they're the region. They pulled it out. We were watching everything for us. And loved it. And actually, some board of directors of the little
I haven't been there a long time, but I love going there. I was there when I was in Texas.
The real, yeah, compared to these trees here. Yeah, those were real beautiful. Yeah. The whole forest and everything else. I have not. I keep, yes, sir, yes, sir. No, I sit on that Xavier Foundation committee. So I haven't had a chance to go visit yet. But I'm sure she's just inundated. That thing is amazing. But that's quite
I said, no, I'll leave that part out.
I'm sure you get to see her only like.
Yeah, that's right,
Yeah,
that's
the kids
right.
were that old already? Damn, good deal, good deal.
Little Gerald, he's a Lovelite, you know, he drank the Kool-Aid.
Is he running?
Nico's my wife.
There you
Yeah,
go.
they're
All
both
right.
running for him in 9th and 10th grade.
Very good, very
And
good.
Liliana will be there, down here, God willing.
Yeah. Oh, my daughter graduated last year, and then she, yeah, no, they both, the twins graduated. Yeah, they just finished their first year. So Chella's at San Diego State, and Paco's at San Antonio, Texas A&M San Antonio. Love it. So it's having a good time.
Remember when they were just
I know, right?
babies?
It was crazy. Let me say congratulations.
But it was like 2 bedroom. Yes. House, 1 bathroom. Yeah, that house was for 275. But that house is for sale. And one time it was for sale, and I went down and had no council. It's pretty, a lot of things that we've done, but it's small. I think it was, it was a pretty backyard. Yeah, beautiful. to Trey Curry. Nice.
My boys graduated last year, and I have a daughter that's going to be a junior. Yeah, I'm from the valley, so my daughter graduated. She's a senior. My boys are sophomores at UTSA, and enjoying it, going at it. So we'll see. Time to go. They got to leave to the valley like at 5 in the morning. What part of the valley? Far. Oh, absolutely. Going out to McAllen. Yeah, I've got to go. Rio Grande, Starr County. Be careful. It's growing to the valley side.
I've never had to go to Rio Grande in 10 years. I went to January to see some doctors in the hospital. I was shocked. What I remember.
It's booming. Boom. It's a metropolis. I get success when you see there's a Papados in Far.
Absolutely.
You know it's rated.
I don't understand. Where's the money? Use my phone.
Is there a dental school?
No, there's not. That's it. I guess I don't know.
We'll go to Mexico for the teeth. Reynosa and all that. What piece? Which company?
Small company my father started 29 years ago.
I've seen the name.
Yeah. Mission Pharmaceutical is a big one. That's not a mission. Yes.
Okay, the Valley and Medicine. Look at Doctor's Hospital. Look at Renaissance.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. We used to have reps. We don't. I go to the Valley. We need it. I just don't have time. So we're always looking.
But I'm just saying, those guys, when Alonso Cantú and those guys helped build that hospital, holy cow.
Put me down as a
I remember thinking,
reference.
I bet the doctor